Sorry to say this, but the iPhone 12 is kind of old news in the tech world. All eyes are now looking ahead at what is coming next from Apple with the iPhone 13 in 2021. And there is a lot to be excited about with this new lineup of iPhones, but also one big missing feature that I think might stop a lot of you from wanting to buy this phone. So in this video, let me break down the 10 biggest changes coming to the iPhone 13 lineup. There's a lot of good, but also there is some bad. By all accounts, the iPhone 13 is shaping up to be quite the upgrade from the iPhone 12 and should finally bring with it a lot of these features we have long been waiting for that seem to kind of get axed at the last minute on the iPhone 12. But of course, before we dive into this, I gotta give the obligatory disclaimer. What you're about to hear are early rumors, so take everything you're about to hear with a grain of salt because things change all the time and they change fast. But I will say a lot of these bigger rumors are coming from people who have a proven track record in the industry. You have known analysts with a really good track record and who have been covering Apple for a long time. So I'm going to tend to believe some of this stuff is actually true and it's just kind of the early leaks that are coming out about it. But again, just know that things are subject to change, but here's everything we know right now. Starting with the design, don't expect much to change on the surface of the iPhone 13, especially when it comes to the looks. We just got what was arguably probably the biggest iPhone design change we've gotten in recent years with the iPhone 12, so expect those squared off edges, those boxy corners, that more industrial design to stick around for the next couple of years, including on this new 2021 iPhone lineup. Let's look at the notch because that is expected to change, finally, for the first time in years. According to the latest supply chain rumors, the notch on the iPhone 13 should get a little bit smaller, but just how small is still kind of up in the air. We just don't know. Some people think the notch is going to shrink entirely, it's going to be physically smaller, while kind of the running guess for most people right now is that the notch's width is going to stay the same, but it's going to be a little bit shallower, so it's not going to take up as much downward physical real estate space on the screen, but it's going to remain just as wide. So a little hard to explain, but the notch is going to get a little bit smaller, but really not as small as you probably would like. And speaking of notch, let's go behind the notch and talk about the display on the iPhone 13 and one of the biggest features finally coming to the iPhone in 2021, and that is high refresh, ProMotion, 120 Hertz display technology. So we've seen it on the iPad Pro for years, we've seen it on tens and dozens and probably hundreds at this point of different Android phones and devices, and now we should finally see it on the iPhone 13. Remember, we are really expecting this to come to the iPhone 12 Pro. Apparently there were some battery issues. For whatever reason, that technology was kind of put on hold, even though we saw a lot of leaks that it did in fact exist. But this is supposed to be the year, 2021, that ProMotion finally comes to the iPhone. We're not exactly sure if it's going to come to the entire iPhone 13 lineup or just the Pro models, but it is coming, fingers crossed, to at least one or two models, if not the whole line. To make all this happen, Apple is reportedly transitioning over to LTPO display technology, which should have a more efficient display backplane, which should result in better battery life, better efficiency, and should make all this technology work. Fun fact, this LTPO technology does also kind of open the door for an always-on display technology to be inside the iPhone as well. We've seen Apple kind of experiment with this with some of those new cases, but although the feature could possibly be there and the technology exists, I probably would not be betting on an always-on display coming to the iPhone 13, but just throwing it out there. And in terms of display size, we're expecting basically the exact same lineup that we got this year. You're gonna have a 5.4-inch iPhone 13 mini, a 6.1 iPhone 13, 6.1-inch iPhone 13 Pro, and then the Pro Max should be the same 6.7 inches, so pretty much the exact same display size that we've got on the iPhone 12 this year. Another really big feature that could come to the iPhone 13 that I think people are getting more and more excited for by the day is the inclusion of Touch ID built into the iPhone 13. We're not sure if this is going to be built in under the display or if it's going to be built into the power button, but we are hearing from credible Apple analysts like Ming-Chi Kuo and even Bloomberg that Apple is working on this technology and that we could see Touch ID built into an iPhone launching in 2021, which pretty much just fits the description of one of the new iPhone 13s. Again, And we've seen patents and we've heard reports that Apple is working to make like a touch area under the display. So for example, if I have my iPhone here, one of the rumors, and we've seen patents for, is that they're making the whole like lower, let's say third or fourth, a whole touch sensitive or touch aware layer that could function as a Touch ID reader. So I could put my thumb basically anywhere in that quadrant, it would read it and then it would unlock the phone. That would be super cool. Another theory is there's just gonna be kind of a basic little space, kind of similar to the Touch ID button, a smaller area that you put your finger on to authenticate. And we've also seen Apple experiment with putting Touch ID in other places, just recently on the new iPad Air built into the power button. So that's another option, just building that technology, basically taking it from the iPad Air and putting it in the iPhone 13 right into the power button, though that's definitely not as convenient, especially with cases. It does kind of make sense because your finger is naturally going to rest there, but I think building it into the screen would be much better, much more convenient, and just a little more Apple-like, a little more seamless, a little less of a hassle. But we'll have to see what Apple ends up doing with that. But we are expecting to see this technology hopefully launch on an iPhone next year, on the iPhone 13 in 2021. But we can't keep talking about the iPhone 13 without kind of addressing the elephant in the room, and that's the feature that I think is going to be included to the dismay of many people, and that is the portless iPhone. We are expecting, and we've heard from numerous sources and kind of for years now, that Apple could release at least one version of the iPhone 13 without a lightning port. No USB-C port, no lightning port, no port at all. This would be kind of the first portless iPhone. And this opens the doors to a lot of controversy, a lot of questions, and a lot of sort of logistics to walk through. How can I charge my phone faster than wireless charging? How can I diagnose my phone if I need to take it in the Genius Bar or do a backup or a restore? Or how could I use CarPlay or other wired technologies, for example, with my phone? The best guess we have right now is that Apple is going to continue to kind of develop this MagSafe technology to do more, that it'll be able to charge faster wirelessly, that should be kind of exceeding the Qi speeds we're seeing, maybe kind of the 15 watts that we've got with MagSafe right now. And we're also expecting, I would presume, that Apple is trying to figure out a way to somehow push data through that MagSafe technology. I'm not sure if it's even an option right now in its current iteration, if that's going to require extra hardware. But although wireless data transfers and all that stuff does exist, I can see that there's got to be some additional steps, some other way that Apple can make wired transfers happen, because for some things, a wired connection just kind of needs to happen. And I can't imagine Apple abandoning wired connectivity altogether and just telling everybody to rely on AirDrop and wireless, data transfers. I think there's got to be a wired solution for a lot of reasons, like I just mentioned. And I think, if I had to bet, it's going to happen somehow through MagSafe. Personally, I don't really know how I feel about this move. On one hand, I guess I really don't plug my phone in all that often. I got a MagSafe charger on the desk behind me. I've got a generic wireless charger on my bedside table. I guess I, for the most part, wirelessly charge, but I do use CarPlay at least a couple of times a week. I do like to plug my phone in to transfer data off of it, to use diagnostic software. I mean, I do see value in that port, so I'm not really sure how I feel about Apple removing that port. Obviously, I think Apple's going to come up with a solution to this problem, and like I said, whether that's MagSafe or something else, I think there is going to be some kind of wired solution, but I'm optimistic, but also a little skeptical to see how all of this portless iPhone stuff is really going to play out. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on a portless iPhone? Yay or nay? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Let us know. Just like every year, we should expect some improvements under the hood of the iPhone 13 as well. We will presumably go from the A14 Bionic to the A15 Bionic. It'll be faster, it'll be more powerful, it'll be more battery efficient, all that fun stuff. Little is really known about the specifics, but seeing as much concentration and effort and money Apple is pouring into their silicon department, I can take an educated guess that this is going to be a very beefy, capable processor that's going to be even better than what we've got with the iPhone 12 right now. And rounding out some of the biggest changes, let's go to the back of the iPhone and talk about the iPhone 13's camera. Now, right now, little is really known about the details and specifics of this phone besides kind of the basics. Smart HDR will be improved, I'm sure image quality will be improved as well, and we are hearing that Apple is looking to take the sensor shift stabilization technology and the larger physical sensor of the main shooter and bring that down the line to all of the iPhone models. So potentially all of the iPhone 13s can have the same larger main sensor as well as the sensor shift technology built in. Not sure if the telephoto lens from the Max will go down to the Pro, but we are expecting some changes to happen to those phones. We've also heard some rumors that Apple is working on an update to the telephoto lens, making some kind of telescopic or some kind of periscopic lens kind of protrudes like a periscope. There's some different renders and technology we've seen floating around online, though we're hearing this is probably not going to happen with the iPhone 13, but probably more likely with the iPhone 14. So from what we're hearing right now, the camera improvements will be good. They'll be there. You'll get a larger main sensor on all the iPhones and the better stabilization, though I don't think it's going to be leaps and bounds better than what we have right now, at least as of what we're hearing from the rumor mill right now. But of course, like always, stay tuned for more info as we get it. All right, and that is everything we know about the iPhone 13 right now. And of course, as always, what are your thoughts on this iPhone? Are you a fan of ProMotion? Are you excited to finally see that technology come to the iPhone? How do you feel about Touch ID in the display or on the side on the power button? Which one do you prefer? And the big one, obviously, portless iPhone. Are you in for it or are you out? Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts. We'd always love to kind of interact with you guys down there. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching the Apple Circle. I am Robert Rosenfeld. I appreciate it, and I'll see ya in the next one.